this week. The Home Secretary is seeking to review non-crime hate incidents. Westminster issues Stormont with an abortion ultimatum. And the CI remembers the courageous work of Christian peer Baroness O'Cahoyne. Hello. The Home Secretary has called for a review of how police record non-crime hate incidents. College of Policing rules currently say records must be kept of those accused of hate incidents, even if no crimes actually occurred. No investigation is required, but the accusations can show up when applying for some jobs. A Home Office source told the Sunday Telegraph these so-called non-crime hate incidents have a chilling effect on free speech and potentially stop people expressing views legally and legitimately. If people are found to have done nothing wrong, the police shouldn't punish them. MPs and peers have backed legislation giving the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland power to commission abortion services across the province. Minister for Northern Ireland Robin Walker said the government stands ready if we do not see significant progress before the summer recess to issue the direction empowered by these regulations. A number of MPs and peers opposed the move. Carla Lockhart told colleagues, "As I left for London this morning, I left my little 2-year-old boy Charlie and walked away from him with a broken heart, thinking of the millions of babies whose lives have already been ended and those that will potentially, under the regulations, be ended in Northern Ireland." Members of the Lords also spoke powerfully of their concern for the unborn.
From the moment of conception, life begins with unique DNA which no other human soul in the world has.
I am a severely disabled parliamentarian who believes I have as much right to exist as anyone else. These regulations may not apply to me directly, but they still threaten me because they challenge that right by devaluing my existence.
We're asked to give our consent to the killing of the unborn child. Many abortionists claim that abortion is the premature expulsion of the human fetus, but in reality it is the ending of a human life.
A Christian MP is backing a new all-party parliamentary group to oppose assisted suicide in the UK. Danny Kruger, while launching the Dying Well group with 25 other MPs and peers, called the push to remove vulnerable people's protections against assisted suicide dystopic. He expressed concern at people being pressured to end their lives. If you may terminate your life because it is not worth living, surely you ought to do so. And if you ought to do so, surely others should encourage you to do the right thing. And if you won't, surely the state should compel you to do so. Kruger stressed that the best method of managing end-of-life care was to invest in palliative care, so that no one should have to take the awful choice of whether and when to kill themselves. And finally, Christian Institute patron Baroness O'Cahoyne has died after a short illness aged 83. Lady O'Cahoyne, who insisted on being called debtor, was an economist and businesswoman entering the House of Lords in 1991. She held numerous high-profile business positions during a long and prestigious career, including managing director of both the Milk Marketing Board and the Barbican Centre. Asked why Christians should get involved in politics, she said it was a good way to find out what really is necessary to love my neighbour and to do something about it. In 2010, she spoke to the Institute about her concerns for religious liberty and the need for Christians to take action.
The reality is that a lot of freedoms are being undermined, and there is a sustained anti-Christian movement attacking those of us who actually believe in freedom of speech and freedom of thought and freedom of expression of one's Christian values. Christians can't lock themselves away in little cells. They've got to be aware what goes on. Some of it's not very nice, but to have a body like Christian Institute supporting you is actually very good.
Institute Director Colin Hart said she would be sorely missed. Detta will be remembered for her extraordinary political courage and formidable intellect, but above all for her unwavering Christian faith. Her principled support for vital causes in this nation made her one of the most influential Christians in Parliament of recent decades. Personally, I will miss her a great deal. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.
Well, a very good afternoon to everybody out there. Welcome to another edition of the Late Lunch Show, alongside yours truly, DJ Val. How you all doing out there today? So, as always, got to give props going out there to my Bishop John Anthony Francis, and of course my co-pastor Penny Francis. They are indeed the visionaries and founders of Rack City Church, my home church. So we have an absolutely super duper show lined up for you today. As always, right? I hear you say in the background. Yeah, we're going to have our very own Maureen Martina. She is a member of the CPA, Christian People's Alliance. Forgot what the acronym stood for there. Christian People's Alliance. She's going to be with us a little bit later on because we do have elections over here in the UK in the next couple of days. So regardless of how you're looking at the or how you're viewing the show, we've got elections over here in the UK. So I want to speak to her. Spoke to our brother Reverend Nims Obunge. This was last week, and had a very insightful conversation about his campaign. So I thought I'd get Minister. She's a minister at Rack City Church. So if I call her minister, just bear with me. Mr. Maureen.
Listen to a sound. Ooh, 'cause I know that it waits.
Hi, this is Wendy Walker, and you are listening to the Soul Food Show with DJ Val.
Yo, blessings in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. This is your boy Diligence from Tampa, Florida. You are now listening to the Soul Food Gospel Show with my brother DJ Val. Salute.
Hi, it's your man, superstar, contemporary, Holy Ghost-filled gospel artist, Mr. T. Briggs, and you're listening to the Soulful Gospel Show with DJ Val, the best gospel show in the United Kingdom. Check it out.
Hey everyone, it's Keandra Lockett here, and you are listening to the Soul Food Gospel Show with DJ Val.
This is Lorraine Clark McGee, and you're listening to DJ Val on the Soul Food Show.
Wherever I am in the world, j'écoute le Soul Food Show avec DJ Val. C'est sur Roac Radio. Ce show est fantastique, est incroyable. Un show à ne pas manquer, les amis. Allez, à bientôt. Ciao.
DJ Val, playing the finest and the best in what gospel has to offer you. I'm gonna say it again. DJ Val, playing the finest and the best in what gospel has to offer you.
DJ Val, playing the very best in gospel's finest and rarest grooves this side of the Mississippi.
DJ Val, playing music for your mind, body, and soul.
Thought I'd kick off the show with this one, brand spanking new, G.O.D. by Kalisha J.
DJ Val. From the moment I met you, knew that I had to keep you. Now you're everything to me, all that I need. There's no me without you. It's no secret, I'll fight for you till the day that I die. For your love, I'm an addict. It's a fact, I gotta have it. 'Cause you changed the way I walk, and you changed the way I talk. People see me and they be like, wow. You changed the way I walk, and you changed the way I talk. People see me and they be like, whoa. Everywhere I go, go, go. Yeah. He can show, oh, oh. Yeah. Everywhere I be. Yeah. You can see. Yeah. Talking about G.O.D. 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 There's a live in me. Live in me. Live in me. Live in me. the Soul Food Show with DJ Val. I'm completely hooked on you. There's nothing I would not do. So in love that I can't deny. Feeling for you desperately. Without you there is no me. And I won't go wrong to know you're mine. Everywhere I go, go, go. Yeah, it shows. Everywhere I be. Yeah, you can see. Talking about
Hi, this is singer-songwriter Bisola, and you're listening to DJ Val.
Every time that I walk by, people say hi, can and I, then I know I am fly. Because I got G.O.D. on the inside of me. Doesn't matter what you say, oh yeah, the CEO of my life goes by the name of Jesus Christ. Yeah, since I met him, no stressing, just blessing, no blessing, confessing that for him I'm repping. Hey, I know that for sure I'm on the right team. A lot to his win no matter what, because he's been so good to me. Times when I should have cried and thought I died and what I could have told my soul for a deal and I'm so grateful because I know that I've been.
Hold tight, Mr. Vibble, right?
Everywhere I go.
I've been bopping to this tune, man. I like it. Sounds of Kalisha J. We heard it first yesterday evening on a special private viewing party or listening party. Absolutely. As soon as I heard it, actually, you know me, man. I said, yeah, tune. Just going to Miss Kalisha J. And of course, all the management team behind you. We had a whole host of gospel glitterati actually on that Zoom, you know. Gotta say, I did get there a little bit late. For some strange reason, I thought it was next week. But anyway, still an absolute banging tune. I think this one is out on Monday, the 10th of May. You may well be able to book your slot on Spotify. You know, sometimes you can do that. You can reserve the track right in advance. So go check her out, man. Kalisha J, track called G.O.D. And cool, so props going out to my brother, Mr. Vimmel Go Hill. All the way out there in North Wheezy. Got to say hi going out there to all the usual who have joined us, right? Especially if you're listening via YouTube. Of course, I always encourage you to subscribe if you are out there, right? Subscriptions all help your boy. Hit the notification bell. That helps me even more. And that way you will never miss another edition of the Soul Food Show. Sounds of the boy called Emmanuel Briggs. Played this one yesterday. I want to say thank you so much to Emmanuel. He was on the show yesterday. Isn't he such a great guy, right?
Always on my mind when I call, don't you answer me?
Outside the Federal Government College, Ilorin, old boys and old girls.
Always on my mind when I call, don't you answer me?
Auntie Telema, Auntie Osei, hold tight.
Oh yeah, angels are singing, 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 singing. You are worthy, you are worthy. Angels are singing, 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 singing. You are worthy, yeah, oh. Wake up in the morning light, I feel your light.
So I'll say this straight out the gate. Today is Super Tuesday, right? We know what happens on Super Tuesday. We have another show a little bit later on at 7 o'clock. So just to warn you, right? Our guest is coming on a little bit earlier, so we're going to have to skip the news. Due to the rearrangement of things, our guest is going to be on with us.
Now you be the Baba, I go praising your name till I lie.
Actually, a lot earlier than normal. We still got all the usual bits, right? The Bible reading and all that stuff. But I wanted to get our guest on nice and early because I have to finish this show a bit, you know.
Always on my mind when I call, don't you answer.
Gotta give props going out there to Neil Dennis and all the guys at the Step Forward chart UK. Well represented yesterday evening, so thank you so much indeed.
Angels are singing, singing, singing. Singing, singing, singing. You are worthy.
Oh, I haven't told you what to do, right? Someone's saying you didn't tell us what to do. If you're new to the show, you got to type new in the comments. If you're old to the show, you got to type young. And of course, if you're hiding behind the privacy glass, I call YouTube. You got to type hiding.
Praise you on my day. Plenty blessing come my way. Carry me, come away, wallet. You don't they go far away. Now the reason I they shout at me.
Time to push, people.
Drink it, Gary.
Push, push, push.
Over, bring it, talkie. See me. That you are the reason I'm singing.
You're listening to the Smooth Groove Gospel Soul Food Station with your host, DJ Val.
Alongside Mr. Vim, he says, young always. I concur, sir. You have not aged.
My mind when I call, Lord, you are.
Not one day, man.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't look like that. Obviously, you do. You know, we all age, you know.
You are worthy.
Every minute we're getting older, but you know.
Angels are singing.
So let's cue time chords it because we can, because we can. My cue time chord says it is 16 minutes past the top of the hour, 14 minutes before our Bible reading. In case you accidentally stumbled across the dials, welcome to the Late Lunch Show. Alongside your boy, DJ Val. We have our guest coming on. She is from the Christian People's Alliance, Maureen Marty. She's going to be joining us a little bit later on. But I got to do this one, man. Waymaker.
Made a way. You made a way.
DJ Val, play music for your mind, body,
miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. When I was lost, you found me, and you rewrote my story. You hold my heart securely. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I know that surely you paved the way before me and wrote my name in glory. This is my testimony. Miracle work. 'Cause you made the way.
Gotta say, absolutely love that one. Anna Vasilman. Track is called Waymaker. That is the smooth jazz remix to that track. And the video is absolutely outstanding, you know.
Hey guys, Kosi Bruno here, your songwriter and producer. You're locked in the Soul Food Show with the classic, coolest, one and only DJ Val. Stay plugged in. One heart.
In the day when I was a baby boy, living on the south side.
Great afternoon going out there to you, Lady Arlene.
Mama was just
Got to do this one right. I know in the Americas, right? I guess you guys are celebrating Mother's Day this weekend, depending on what time you're listening to the show. So got this one. It's St. J.
No way you made a way. I wanna thank you.
AKA St. Jams.
Nights and longer
This
days.
one is for the mamas.
You raised me right, filled my life with your love. From the bottom of my heart, I wanna say thank you. I remember waking up early on Sundays.
Oh, I like this one, you know.
Sunroof.
You know where this is going, right? Straight to the, it's going to be on the original Soul Food Show, you know. Lovely jam, man.
My mama's favorite song. Nothing could go wrong whenever mama was at home. I remember the way my mama used to say, Jesus loves you, this I know. She said, hold on to your faith. Don't let no one ever change you. And I said, I know, and I love you for it now. I'm glad you made the choice.
And as we talk of mummies, gonna give shouts going out to Mummy Reed. And I prophesy you shall be home tomorrow. There you go. Old time Mummy Reed. And a shout's going out to Lady L as well.
First of all, let me be the one to say thank you to Mama for all the things you've done. doubt. Without your prayers for me, I never would have, ever could have made it.
And a shout's going out there to Mummy Deaconess, Mary, Emma, Christiana Weeks. Rest well, Mummy.
Seems so hard.
You gotta make sure that your mums are doing good, you know.
Thank you.
And your dads too, you know. But yeah, it is Mother's Day over there in the United States of America, and I think other places in the world as well. So even though we've celebrated ours already over here in the UK, I guess any of the discerning mothers would be expecting a second gift as well, right? Gotta give props going out there to one of my media partners, streaming partners. Shouts going out there to the lady who runs the Angel of Melody International radio station, Sonia Johnson, aka Miss Angel on the decks. God bless you. Thank you so much indeed for connecting me with this guy. I thought the track stopped then. I was about to say, oh my goodness gracious me. Hi, going out there to Miss Ray Tussage. How you doing, Ray Ray?
Things seem so hard. They seem so hard. Thank God for my mother. Thank God for my mother. Yeah. Thank God for my mother. And I thank God for your mom.
That's right. We truly thank God for our mothers.
Thank you, mama. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, let's do this one.
What a mighty God we serve. He's a mighty God.
Sounds of Prince Asuike, Ebi Camo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the prince is here. He's the crown prince of the Niger Delta. Asuike.
Another hot track, man. Let's go.
Hey! What a mighty God we serve. He's a mighty God. He's a biggie, 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 biggie God. He's a mighty God. The heaven and earth. The animal trees and the mountains sing and shout for your glory.
That's right.
That's the reason why I came to sing that song.
Oh, Grandad dancing in full effect, y'all. I was like Jojo who said she wants to do a dance off with me, man. Get your camera, put it on.
Yes, sir.
I double dare ya.
Yeah. He's a mighty God. The heaven and earth and the greater things declare your glory. The animal trees and the mountains sing and shout for your glory. That's the reason why
Just making fun of my South African accent yesterday. I didn't really try to do it South African. It could have been Kenyan as well, you know.
The world is going crazy, giving glory to mama. Technology going crazy, giving glory to.
Gotta say a belated happy birthday going out there to Sir Basil Mead, OBE.
Politicians going crazy, giving glory to power. Footballers going crazy, giving glory to trophies. Our lady.
You're never too late for the Soul Food Show.
Crazy, giving glory to fashion. What about you? But I am going crazy, giving glory to God. That's the reason why I came to sing that song. Niger Delta Star. Yeah.
DJ Val, taking your mind on
Mighty God. What a mighty God we serve. He's a mighty God. He's a biggie God. Yes. He's a mighty God. The heaven and earth and the greater things declare your glory. The animal trees and the mountains sing and shout for your glory. That's the reason why
It's the Soul Food Show with DJ Val.
Yes, sir.
Now the real party's on Friday, man. Yeah. That's the Catch a Fire Friday. Oh my God.
You never know, you know. You
Gotta get shouts going down to Missy Mara Joyce all the way out there in Abuja.
He's taking back stolen soul.
Hold tight, Gracintha. And it calls the blended beauty duo all the way up there in sunny Manchester.
Sing it up, praising in the no matter the weather, we got to be giving him praises forever and ever. Make way. I'm gonna know where you be, come on. I'm gonna know where you be, come on. Even know where you be, come on. You be, come on. You be, come on. Corona know where you be, come on. Corona know where you be, come on.
It's time to worship our God on the Late Lunch Show. Alongside your boy DJ Val, I am here until, here until, you know. I can't say when I finish, otherwise it ruins things for other people. So, we want to say thank you to all my streaming partners, all the people all around the world. Shouts going out there to HOD Radio, Minister Daniel Hold Tight. Shouts going out to Throne Connection International Radio Station, Hold Tight Ruach Radio, Christian Center Conversation and Music, 24/7. My friends over there at Sword FM, the architect DJ Jide, the unstoppable Shuggy Tosh, and the incomparable Miss Louisa. And of course, we can't forget, it was his birthday last week, Matthew Branson, Cornerstone Christian Radio. Great afternoon going out there to you, my brother. Outside Jam Vibes TV. And of course, the Phoenix Entertainment Group in Atlanta, Georgia. I got one more to do before we do the Bible reading, and I've been playing this guy, Paul Payne, featuring Demistry, all week. Track called Give Us.
Here's my faith without work, so shallow let's chef online. I am next nakana. Ipalo diantin de geta nango chiweka te condescenda. Tule kadila mapepo to pepa muri kandole le nefyo be fiapita. Abano be bapalo ati awe ni shita iwe kulo lela ne shikucha vita mune.
So as I said a little bit later on, we should be having Maureen Martin from the Christian People's Alliance. She is going to be talking to us about her about the upcoming election, right? And you know, we get a little bit of understanding, a little bit more about the Christian People's Alliance. You know, we're not doing enough to, I think, get involved in the political arena. And Maureen's decided to throw her hat in the ring. So really looking forward to speaking to her a little bit later on.
This God will give us
Great afternoon, going out there to Lady Hall.
Gifted and blessed at the high cost.
Outside the class captain.
Into my mind is the mind of the king and more.
Remember, small changes, people. Not big changes, small changes. 1% increments. You know, sometimes your 1% increment, nobody will know, only you. I've been doing some 1% increments, I can tell you that much.
I'm on my grind, spit the truth, not if I
I want to say thank you so much to our brother, Emmanuel Briggs.
What
a great young guy, man. All the way out there in Winnipeg, you know. Jay, it's cold for 6 months of the year. And not just cold, snow. There you go. The class captain meets her ladyship. What a reunion on the Soul Food Show. I bet you guys have missed each other, right?
It's like Israelites for me, GPT. Victory is mine, it's only right that I claim it. Story of the underdogs with a lot of power.
Gotta give props going out to both of them. They're both authors. Only through Spiritual Eyes. You Will See in HD is written by our very own Lady Avril Hall. And Red Flags, Don't You Dare Ignore Them, written by Izzy, aka Hazel Ann Pariag.
Fruits of my labor, power of compound, you forget about now, Bryce, the future I invest in.
I want to say great afternoon going out to Angie RCBI and my bestie little KK.
He's a God of abundance. He's a God of abundance.
That's right, if you're new to the show, you type new. If you're old to the show, you type young. And if you're hiding, just type hiding, and we know that you're there, but we'll leave you alone.
This God will give us it. He'll give us.
Sounds of Paul Payne 837 all the way out of Zambia. And FYI, I have that boy Massin in the studio tomorrow alongside Nandi M all the way from South Africa. So I've got South Africa and Zambia in the studio tomorrow. It is going to be absolutely amazing. But it is time for our Bible reading. And our Bible reading is always taken from the Bible Experience. We've got about 10 minutes or so of Bible reading today. A little bit less than normal because our guest is coming on slightly earlier than scheduled. It's taken from the Bible Experience, which is the best way, I believe, at the moment for you to enjoy God's marvelous and miraculous word. All the voices are done by black actors, actresses, people from the gospel industry, preachers as well. So you may well recognize some of the voices there. You know, Samuel L. Jackson and so many others. Pastor Paul Adifrasin. They're all there, and they all lend their voices to give the Bible a lot more character and depth. So be blessed as we looking. What are we looking at today? We're reading from 1 Samuel 27 to 28. May you be blessed by God's word.
But David thought to himself,
one of these days I will be destroyed by the hand of Saul. The best thing I can do is to escape to the land of the Philistines. Then Saul will give up searching for me anywhere in Israel, and I will slip out of his hand.
So David and the 600 men with him left and went over to Achish, son of Maoch, king of Gath. David and his men settled in Gath with Achish. Each man had his family with him, and David had his 2 wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail of Carmel, the widow of Nabal. When Saul was told that David had fled to Gath, he no longer searched for him. Then David said to Achish,
If I found favor in your eyes, let a place be assigned to me in one of the country towns, that I may live there. Why should your servant live in a royal city with you?
So on that day Achish gave him Ziklag, and it has belonged to the kings of Judah ever since. David lived in Philistine territory 1 year and 4 months. Now David and his men went up and raided the Geshurites, the Girzites, and the Amalekites. From ancient times, these peoples had lived in the land extending to Shur and Egypt. Whenever David attacked an area, he did not leave a man or woman alive, but took sheep and cattle, donkeys and camels and clothes. Then he returned to Achish. When Achish asked,
Where did you go raiding today?
David would say,
Against the Negev of Judah,
or
against the Negev of Jerahmeel,
or
against the Negev of the Kenites.
He did not leave a man or woman alive to be brought to Gath, for he thought,
they might inform on us and say, this is what David did.
And such was his practice as long as he lived in Philistine territory. Achish trusted David and said to himself,
He has become so obnoxious to his people, the Israelites.
In those days, the Philistines gathered their forces to fight against Israel. Achish said to David,
You must understand that you and your men will accompany me in the army.
David said,
Then you will see for yourself what your servant can do.
Achish replied,
Very well. I will make you my bodyguard for life.
Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had mourned for him and buried him in his own town of Ramah. Saul had expelled the mediums and spiritists from the land. The Philistines assembled and came and set up camp at Shunem, while Saul gathered all Israel and set up camp at Gilboa. When Saul saw the Philistine army, he was afraid. Terror filled his heart. He inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him by dreams or Urim or prophets. Saul then said to his attendants,
Find me a woman who is a medium so I may go and inquire of her.
There is one in Endor,
they said. So Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes, and at night he and 2 men went to the woman.
Consult a spirit for me,
he said.
and bring up for me the one I name.
But the woman said to him,
Surely you know what Saul has done. He's cut off the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Why have you set a trap for my life to bring about my death?
Saul swore to her by the Lord,
As surely as the Lord lives, you will not be punished for this.
Then the woman asked,
Whom shall I bring up for you?
Bring up Samuel.
He said. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out at the top of her voice and said to Saul,
Why have you deceived me? You are Saul.
The king said to her,
Don't be afraid. What do you see?
The woman said,
I see a ghostly figure coming up out of the earth.
What does he look like?
He asked.
An old man wearing a robe is coming up.
She said. Then Saul knew it was Samuel, and he bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. Samuel said to Saul,
Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? I am in great distress,
Saul said.
The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has departed from me. He no longer answers me, either by prophets or by dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what to do.
Samuel said,
Why do you consult me now that the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done what he predicted through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hands and given it to one of your neighbors, to David. Because you did not obey the Lord or carry out his fierce wrath against the Amalekites, the Lord has done this to you today. The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines.
Immediately Saul fell full length on the ground, filled with fear because of Samuel's words. His strength was gone, for he had eaten nothing all that day and all that night. When the woman came to Saul and saw that he was greatly shaken, she said,
Look, your servant has obeyed you. I took my life in my hands and did what you told me to do. Now, please listen to your servant and let me give you some food so you may eat and have the strength to go on your way.
He refused and said,
I will not eat.
But his men joined the woman in urging him, and he listened to them. He got up from the ground and sat on the couch. The woman had a fattened calf at the house, which she butchered at once. She took some flour, kneaded it, and baked bread without yeast. Then she set it before Saul and his men, and they ate. That same night they got up and inspired by the Bible Experience.
Soul Food Show, Record of the Week.
failing to scribe your heart on history's page. Make us again what we were made to be. Transform, revive, and heal society. Faithful to govern, ever may we be. Selfless in service, loving constantly. In everything, may your authority transform, revive, and heal society. Transform, revive, and heal society.
Another hour of the hottest tracks from around the globe.
The DJ who makes you feel good.
The hottest tunes, the hottest DJ.
Your number one DJ worldwide.
You're listening to your favorite DJ.
Where it always feels good.
It's the Soul Food Show with DJ Val.
Gonna kick off this section of the show, 9 a.m. alongside Massin. If you think, if you know, if you're sure that you are a treasure in God's eyes, just type a treasure in the chat.
I'm a treasure to be discovered. I'm peculiar, I'm more than a conqueror. I'm a treasure to be discovered. I'm peculiar.
Absolutely love this one, you know.
And a conqueror.
Did I say they're coming to the studio tomorrow? They're coming tomorrow, you know. First class, all the way from South Africa and Zambia. They're going to be live in the studio. Amanda Weeks says she is a treasure. I confirm and concur, woman of God.
And you gave me everything. You gave me authority. The world belongs to me.
You've got to declare these things in the atmosphere so that you claim it, right?
For your glory, you will go on to me. For your glory,
Like a nigga, I will shine everywhere that I go. Yeah, yeah. Like a nigga, everybody will see me flying. For your glory, I will shine and I will conquer the world. And with you by my side, and I can feel your presence beside me. When you're beside me, nobody can hide me.
I got some really good news today. But you know, it's one of those ones I can't share with you yet, you know, it's terrible, right?
You will do unto me. You gave.
Anyway, all I say is thank you for your participation. And it goes thank you for all of your support. It all goes a long way, if only you knew, man. So it's 2 bits of good news I'm going to have to share at some point. I think both will be shared by the end of the week. There you go. And as we talk about sharing, please take the opportunity to share. You know, you can cut and paste the link on YouTube into your WhatsApp broadcast list. Share on Instagram, share on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram, but you know, you can share it on Instagram.
the grace, the love, the favor, living
And the guys on 24 Hour Soul Food Streaming Solutions said hello. So shouts out to all the people that just messaged me now. I just saw the message now. God bless you. People out there in Malaysia. Great afternoon going out there to you.
It's working in me.
And of course, when I'm not here, there is another DJ Val on the 24-hour Soul Food Gospel channel on soulfoodgospel.com. He just is really good. He's actually better than me, so I'm doing my best to kind of like get close to him, but he just keeps getting better and better and better. So go check him out. Look for the 24/7 tag on the front page of soulfoodgospel.com. And you know, you could be maybe on your way to work, and maybe you don't want to stream YouTube, but you can listen to that. It goes all the time.
This is Soul Food Gospel, the home for great Christian entertainment. Stay blessed.
I'm going to do this beautiful track called Serenity by Little Miss Ray Ray.
Sunshine in the rain. I don't need an umbrella. My joy in the pain.
Gotta say a shout out there to the woman with the best Instagram handle, better than anybody else's. Nikki Sariki, aka Nikki Finest on Instagram. That's just such a cool Insta handle, man.
I feel your serenity.
It's much better than mine, the official DJ Val. Boring.
That's what you promised. I feel your serenity.
DJ Val, play music for your mind,
stuck in the middle of the ocean. Na, 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 And your right hand will be my comfort. It's a wonderful feeling. Na, 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 And every time I feel I'm overwhelmed, that's when I feel your serenity. Serenity, never make it till the end. That's what you promised. I feel your serenity.
Lovely track, right? Brand spanking new by Little Miss Ray Ray.
I know for sure.
Go check that one out. I think it's available in Spotify and all the usual music. I think it's got a lyric video as well to this one, you know. She always does these really atmospheric tracks, you know. So if you haven't heard of Ray Ray, she's part of the HFP Music Consortium, stable of gospel entertainers that are seated under Chibozor and all the guys out there at HFP Music. And a little Dickie Bird said she will be coming on the show real soon.
Serenity,
It's amazing what these Dickie Birds hear, isn't it? I don't know if you're outside the UK, if you don't know what some of these... yeah, I use a lot of UK euphemisms and things like that. A little Dickie Bird said, you think it's over?
Never make it till the end. That's what you...
And I throw a few Nigerian proverbs in there, you just messed up, right?
Serenity.
Let's cue time cause it because my guest must be very, very close.
Serenity. Serenity.
Yeah, it should be in about 8 minutes or so. I want to do...
I feel your serenity. I've been blessed up.
I want to do this one, man.
Gotta catch up.
Miss Wande Bisola.
Running back.
This one is called Blessed Up.
Gotta catch up. Gotta shine now. Cause I've been blessed up. I've been rolled out. Gotta catch up. Gotta shine now. Running faster. I can't slow down. Gotta catch up. Gotta shine now.
Hey, I got the juice. Wait
Wait a minute, run it back, I got the truth. Real talk to rebel to rehab, we been had it. Don't mind every hash, I'm teaching the youth. Remember, we was always seeking his face. Running up the charts was never the race. Buy a ticket to the show and you might get to heaven on it. Boy, we leaking with grace, dripping. Don't poke foes, but the foes stay tipping. Nigga one dig about the Lone Star flipping. Man, the first lady got our first lady on a playlist. I'm tripping. We too blessed. Handle the Lord on the set. See what he finna do next. Shawty hit me on my jack and said jump on the track. I said run it up, I'm feeling blessed.
I've been messed up, I've been broke down. Gotta catch up, gotta shine now. Running faster, I can't slow down. Gotta catch up, gotta shine now. Cause I've been blessed up, I've been broke down. Gotta catch up, gotta shine now. Running faster, I can't slow down. Gotta catch up, gotta shine now. 100 bands, okay.
Got them chips, yeah.
100 bags, no layaway.
Oh, it's lit, yeah.
All gon' pass, no you can't save.
Got it, dip, yeah.
Better pray, your soul is safe. No escape, see the top and the lows. Hold me down, I'ma grow.
It's like the person that just said, was asking me what was my dream card on dream car, actually. I'd love a Tesla.
Gotta stick to it even with the interference. Gotta stay prayed up, yeah, I'm talking about the spirit, ooh, yeah.
No Ferraris, none of that stuff, man.
Not now.
Those things all drink petrol like
yep.
They're drinking tea, man.
So pull up with the test won't flunk now. I ain't gotta.
You know, you need a mortgage just to keep the car on the road. No, thank you. I'll have a Tesla, man.
Cause I'm up now, yeah.
12p to charge up from flat to full. 400 miles radius of driving on that one single charge. I don't know how many pence per mile that works out to, but that's my kind of car.
Now let me tell y'all about really living blessed up. See, I've been at the lowest of lows and I've been at the highest mountaintops. And the one thing...
So do remember, people of God, right? On the 6th of May, we go to the polls.
Of the network.
Which kind of like segues me into my guest. She's be with us really shortly, but just segue into our guest. Remember, we're out to vote, right? You got to go out and vote.
Bless.
Some people don't vote. Some people don't think about they vote.
And don't stress, because the season you in...
And I don't know if you caught the interview with Reverend Nims, Pastor Nims Obunge. You know, that the second vote preference is really important, you know. So you got your first choice vote, but then you've got a second preference, and it is crucial. Important for you to think about how you vote. You got to vote tactically, right? Let's do some Dante Bow.
Like rain.
Love this jam, man.
Like fire.
It feels like I'm going over and over and over again.
Too good to be true. This is a dream. I'm finally living. And all of this because of you. This feels like joy. This makes me happy. This feels like soul, rhythm and blues. This is the gospel of Sunday morning. And all of that because of you. So I'll give my heart over and over again. Over and over again. Over and over again. Oh, I'll give my heart over and over again. Over and over again. This feels like love. It's not gonna hurt me. This feels like trust. I believe that is you. And this is a song that I love singing. So if nothing else, here's what I'll do. I'll give my heart over and over again. Over and over again. Yeah, I'll give my heart over and over again. Over and When my back was against the wall, figured I would be the last one that you would call. But you did it, and I'm glad that you didn't stall. I just put it in your hands, and you did it all.
Behind dough, number one was the mansion, the clothes, and the bling. Number two, money, power, and control like a king. Couldn't see behind dough, number three, but I chose it by faith, cause Jesus was holding the key. Bizzle. I wouldn't change a thing.
Dante Bo over and over and over and over again.
Gonna give it all.
I think I can slide one more in by Mr. Emmanuel Briggs. I do have my guest. She is in the green room. We're going to work out a couple of bits and pieces. And of course, we shall be right back.
I love you with my whole heart, with my whole soul, with my whole mind. Cheta, chiwike, chukuike, oyeke. In your name, I can do anything. All things are possible in your name. Mama diriki chineke na rekele. Ekele diriki oyoma chuku wike. I wanna be close to you. Oba mi aton farati. About me, I don't farati. Standing by the wayside, all alone. Yeah, I knew that I was wasted, almost gone. Then I cried, Savior, don't pass me by. Then I realized all along. Always here. Mama diriki chineke na rekele. Ekele diriki oyoma chuku wike. I wanna be close to you. Hey, oba mi aton farati.
I think I got it all think, so
I wanna be close.
Let's without further ado let's go over to the our guest who's been waiting very, very patiently and has logged in. So let's see if we can get this to work. There we go. There we go. Maureen Martin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Elder Valentine.
Hey, how are you? Welcome, 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 welcome.
Hi everyone at Rurak Radio.
Oh, they're all fine actually. This one's not actually going out on Rurak Radio at the moment. This one goes out on my channel. So I think there's political reasons why you can't have members of parties, Ofcom regulations. Yeah.
All
so
right.
So I'd have to have you and somebody else, and
I
don't have somebody else, so I kind of like have to. Yeah, I have to manage you. So right. you can talk for all. Yeah, you can talk for. You can talk for all parties.
I could definitely talk for CPA. All parties. I can comment on other parties, but.
Okay. All right. Brilliant.
I can definitely comment.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. As I said, we in kind of like my show preamble, I said, we had Reverend Nims on last week, and in the UK, it's time to vote for local elections, for local governments, for the mayor and stuff like that, and. Typically, especially amongst Christians, and again amongst our demographic, there's a bit of apathy to go out there and vote and stuff as well. So, it's good to kind of like highlight it that, on the 6th of May, people, you need to go out and you need to cast your ballot. And I guess for me, one of the things that struck me before we kind of like get into it, Maureen, is... people vote on party lines, right? And by that I mean that people have always voted red, they've always voted blue, they've always voted green, they've always voted pink or orange, and they just vote because that's what I've always done. So I'm not going to change the status quo. I'm not going to do anything at all. I'm not really looking into what some of these parties are really saying that affect not just our community but our children and of course the wider things as well. So you know, great to have you on here. I've kind of like led into it, but you know, if you'd like to introduce yourself and then tell us a bit about how you got into politics first, and then we can go into some of the issues.
Yes, certainly. Right, I am Maureen Martin. I'm currently the president of the Christian People's Alliance. And how I got into politics, quite by accident. I think it was just God's little amusing joke, if you like, but it was totally unexpected. In 2015, there was a general election, but this go back before that, I'd always been a very conscientious voter, always very active and very mindful of my civic duty to vote. Being from a Caribbean background and being, you know, obviously a person of colour, I did recognise that certain people had sacrificed so I could vote. And for me not to vote, I thought was a dishonouring act on their sacrifice. So I always took it very seriously. Anyway, but I lived in Canada for 14 years. In 2003, I came back here. And obviously the question arose, now that I can vote again in this country, who do I vote for? Because I used to vote Labour, obviously, because most Caribbean or people of the Caribbean community did. So I used to vote along, you know, my traditional party lines. But having been a Christian for 7 years at that point, I suddenly realised that, I don't think I can vote for Labour anymore because their policies are definitely not in line with my Christian values, totally out of line, in fact. And all the other parties, Green, Liberals, and even the Conservative Party were swaying far away from their traditional Conservative values. So I suddenly realised, you know what, I really can't vote for these parties anymore. I would have to find someone else to vote for. But not voting was not an option. So I really had to find someone else to vote for. So my cousin did introduce me to the Christian People's Alliance. That was in 2009, which is great. I joined immediately as just a paid member. But as time progressed, I suddenly realised that this party were not showing up on ballots. I just didn't see them, you know, being active in my constituency, and they just weren't anywhere. They would send me letters occasionally to come to their events, which is great, although I never went, to be honest. However, I was still mindful of I wanted to vote for them, but they were never around. So 2015 came along, it was a general election that year, and of course, I want to vote for them. But again, no mention, they weren't in my constituency anywhere. I thought, well, where are they? I'd like to, you know, have an opportunity to cast my vote for a party that I was, you know, considered my Christian values. So I went to their website looking for information, and there wasn't any. So I said, okay, let me just sort of offer to help. Maybe they need help. And I pressed a little button and said, I would like to help. So, you know, the next day, the leader of the party was on the phone to me, asking me if I wanted to stand in my local constituency in a general election. Well, the shock. I mean, I almost dropped the phone, almost fell off the chair, and all of that. And, you know, I heard yes coming out of my mouth. Oh, what did I disagree to? What am I doing? So, cut a long story short, we got the nomination papers in really quickly, because we only had a couple of days to closing. You know, once you pass that date, you can't put your nomination papers in and it's closed. So we had to move really quickly. It's not free, it costs £500 to do deposit. I have to scrape the money together, get all the nomination stuff ready. You know, he helped me a lot. And before I knew it, I was standing as a candidate in the general election for my local constituency. I thought, oh, how did this happen? So, you know, it was almost a baptism of fire, because they had to do hustings. You know, I never heard of hustings. So what's a hustings? You know, they had to explain things to me.
What is a husting? For those of us that don't know, what is a husting?
Right, yeah, baptism of fire. What it is, you have to actually go before a group of people, you and other candidates, and you get asked questions. You get like a couple of minutes to explain, you know, introduce yourself basically, and your party. You know, a brief introduction. Then they ask you questions basically about your policies. The questions are normally prepared. I guess they've learned from past experience not to just let the audience ask random questions, because it can get pretty out of control. So they submit questions ahead of time, and they ask you questions. And I had to like stand there, you know, defend our policies and answer questions like, oh, okay. So it actually didn't go too badly. I mean, my first one was really, really good, in fact. So, but what I'm saying is it was completely out of my comfort zone. Never did anything like that before. It was just an amazing experience. So needless to say, I came back for more. And I've stood in local elections, by-elections, and general elections ever since then. So that's 6 years. So it's been great. I've enjoyed it immensely. And since then, I've become the president. I was on the exec. I'm still on the executive of the party, and it has progressed. And now I'm the number one list candidate for the London Assembly elections, which means if we get 5% vote, I'll be sitting on the London Assembly this year on behalf of CPA. So it has progressed. I can only say it's the Lord. no other reason why this happened. So that's the short of the story.
You know, okay, first of all, I just want to apologize to the guys on YouTube. I'm not really too sure why it's doing what it's doing, but we had a very similar incident yesterday. But just bear with me, just keep logging in. Alternatively, maybe jump onto Facebook, because Facebook seems to be quite stable, and since I'm not playing any music, you won't get kicked out. So maybe you might have to abandon YouTube for the moment and then come onto Facebook. But it's an advice, not a rule. So I wasn't aware that you were the president as well. So was that part of your plan then?
Not at all.
To become the leader of.
Well, actually, it's quite funny. There's the leader, deputy leader, and there is the president. Okay. So I'm not actually the leader of the party. I'm the president. Presidents, they have sort of different roles. So what I do is I chair meetings. I'm in charge of the GLA elections this year, being the number one list candidate. So I'm sort of in charge of the getting all the nomination papers in, the promo for it, and I'm doing lots of media. This particular social media, this particular election. So the president's got different roles. So it's not necessarily leader of the party. We do have leader, deputy leader, and then the president. So I'm the president. Madam.
Okay. Madam President.
Yeah, Madam President. Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a madam. I thought president was president. You know, so I didn't realize.
Well, female presidents are madam presidents, aren't they? So that's how it goes.
Okay. Yeah, so, all right. So you're in. You stand a chance of being part of the London Assembly. So what are the issues on the street? Because I think you kind of like alluded to what I said before, that everybody's calling you Madam President now. That's what we're going to be calling you now at church, right? Madam President, Madam President Maureen.
That's right. I'm going to do that.
Just so far as you're aware now, because it's kind of stuck. Shouts going out to Avril as well, and there's a couple other people on that were waiting in the wings. Amanda Weeks is on as well, so glad to have you on, Amanda. The class captain Hazel Ann is on too, so thank you, Hazel Ann, and anyone else that is hiding behind YouTube. You guys are doing really good. So you alluded to it, right? People just vote party lines, they stick to it blindly, and they don't think. So what were the issues or I don't know, the issues is probably the one word, but what was the thing that stood out most? Apart, yes, you Christian, non-Christian, but in terms of issues, what are the issues on ground that really made you say, you know what, I can't go, voting Labour or
There's some very fundamental issues, Elder Valentine, like life, for instance. I mean, the Labour Party are extreme abortionists, even up to after birth. I mean, they're extreme. Okay, the Liberal Party up to 24 weeks, the Green Party very similar. All of them basically have abortion or a woman's right to abort her child as part of their manifestos. The only one that doesn't necessarily have a manifesto is a Conservative. Then it's sort of an unspoken thing they don't really talk about, but they haven't really done anything to resist it either. And of course, there are other issues like traditional marriage. These other parties again are very much in favour of marriage in its all these other permutations now.
Yep.
And marriage between a man and a woman is becoming almost passé. And if you disagree with that standpoint, you're a bigot and there's something wrong with you, obviously. So I can't sow my seed as in my vote into these parties are supporting things that are so quite clearly anti-Christian.
Yeah.
Antichrist. So, and God does not take a very good view of you supporting these ideologies with your vote. It's a very serious matter. So these are the things that really stood out to me. And obviously, you have to look at the kind of groups that get attracted to these parties.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of groups that support them. These are an indication of what the party is really about. Even the party doesn't say anything necessarily. Just look at the people that attracted to the parties that support them. That should tell you exactly where they are morally and ideologically. So I had to make a decision that I cannot vote for them. But of course, the option of not voting was an option, so I had to find alternatives.
Yeah.
And I think God just led me to CPA.
Yeah.
So that's basically main reasons why I made decisions.
And I think you've raised two really big issues that people, you know, I put it like this. I run a segment by the Christian Institute, and their news isn't mainstream news. They look at all of these kind of issues, and it is just really amazing what the governments, whether they be on the left or the right of the House of Parliament, what agendas they try to push through. And you know, it's our votes that put them in those seats, that they're making these decisions that, you know, don't really help us in any way, shape or form. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, most you know, majority black churches do tend to vote Labour. Now, I don't think it's because they're just being wicked and just being like evil. They just don't know. They just don't do their research. And because we come from a culture that traditionally votes Labour because we think Labour are, you know, the more diverse.
We do think so, you know.
Yeah, we think they're for minorities. That's why we do it. We're not doing it because we just want to be like, you know, anti-Christian, or we just want to be evil. We're doing it because we think, and we've been taught that Labour are for minorities, which is not necessarily true either. You know, it's all that sort of the poor, you know, the poor go to the Labour and the rich go to Conservative. It's all very sort of, you know, very polarising, and there's not lots of facts in there. It's all just very traditional. And maybe at one time, you know, back in the 1800s, maybe that was true, but it's not true today. We need to do our research. We need to look into what we call manifestos. Parties produce manifestos. We're not a party about just the manifesto. Regardless of what the man is saying up there, talking at the microphone, it's all in the manifesto. It's all there. They might not say anything about abortion or same-sex marriage, but just read the manifesto.
Yeah, they have to have a position on these things, don't they, of some kind?
They do have to have a position, and sometimes they don't like to say the position because the position might be quite unpopular.
Yeah.
So they don't really want to talk about it, but essentially they do have a position.
Yeah.
And some might need to just press them on it and insist on an answer to a question, but there is a position there. And some of it don't like to say because they're like unpopular. And essentially, abortion is unpopular with the people. It's not popular. But because they want to push an agenda, and because unfortunately with governments, this is why government is so important, because they have an overarching authority over all the other cultural mountains. They can affect every single one of them.
Yeah.
You know, media, they can affect family, the church even. Look at what's happened to us in this pandemic. We've been shut down, we've been muzzled, we've been prevented from gathering together.
At one point, it was actually illegal. They passed a bill in Parliament, and I was going on about this during the thing. I think it was the lockdown, kind of like in November or something like that. The one that they had after they let us out, then they had another lockdown. And in that one, they actually made it illegal. It was against the law for you to congregate and worship in a place where they passed the. Yep.
Exactly.
They passed the law,
Exactly. So
and they had to repeal it.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, I think they actually repealed it. I think Theresa May stood up and said, "This is unprecedented. You can't make it criminal for people to worship." You know, and I think she gave quite an impassionate speech about why it was wrong and why they couldn't do it. But the fact that they had already put it on the statute books. I think Scotland as well was going through something. I think the Scottish Church actually took the Scottish government to court over the fact that they banned, they closed the churches. They said it's not done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly, and thankfully they did win. But this is, how a government think. Why would the government even think of doing that in a Christian nation, supposedly a Christian nation? Why would they even contemplate doing that? Church should have been essential service.
Yeah,
your
spiritual
not even
well-being.
contemplated closing the church at a time when people are stressed. Unprecedented things are going on. Things that never happened in our lifetime.
Yeah.
A global pandemic, everything shut down, locked down. People were experiencing, unusual circumstances. So this was not the time to deny them their spiritual source of strength, which is exactly what the government did. So, are you still there, Elder Valentine?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm just switching cameras. It's all right.
You disappeared off the screen. I thought, I hope he's not gone.
No. Just switching cameras. Don't worry. Keep going.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So as I said, the government has an overarching reach of what happens in our cultural mountains. So we cannot ignore who's in government. We can't just acquiesce and say, well, I'm not going to vote because I just don't know who to vote for, and I just don't vote anyway. That's not an excuse. We cannot do that. God is going to hold us responsible for who's in government. Essentially, we should be in government. This lie about separation church and state. There's no separation. Look at the biblical models. The biblical models are what? The prophet advised the kings. Right? Nathan went before David and basically accused him of being a murderer and an adulterer.
Yeah.
But it was true. It wasn't even an accusation. It was true.
Yeah.
But look at the position that Nathan had.
Yeah.
He was able to go before the king and advise the king and tell the king about his own sin.
Yeah.
And the king heard him. He heard God through the prophet. That's who he heard.
Yeah.
Right? So the biblical model, God has not changed his mind. The church should be in government. We should be advisors, we should be influencers. We should be there as the moral compass for the government. And because there's no moral compass in our government, guess what? We elect ungodly people. We get ungodly laws. Then we complain about the legislation they make. Well, you voted for them. They're ungodly people. What did you expect? They're not going to morph into something else just because we voted for them. They're ungodly people.
Yeah.
And the fact you keep voting for them, it's not going to change them.
So there's a school of thought, not to cut you, that even if as Christians we voted for the Christian People's Alliance, because the other parties are quite strong in terms of their the way that they campaign, and they have quite a strong loyal base, that what would happen would be you get to this situation of, in quotes, you don't get the lesser of two evils. You get, okay, so you're not happy with this one, but your vote, or if we vote CPA, it's a protest vote, which is noted. It won't get you into power, but it also means the other lot get in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's sort of like when people say, if you don't vote for one party, it allows people like the BNP to kind of get power. It's the same thing. Yeah,
there you go,
the protest vote.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we are a small party, there's no doubt about it. We want to gain members. We want to, get to the point where we are a viable alternative for people to vote for. This is why we are doing things like we are standing in, the mayoral elections. We stand in local elections. We need more people. We need more Christians to come on board, be willing to stand in their local areas, be members of the party, be actively, participating in the party and in their localities to get us to the point where we are a viable alternative. Now, for the GLA elections coming up, we have a very, very good chance of getting that 5%. So on the assembly, this is a slightly different situation because this is proportional representation. So all you need is 5% of the vote. I guess 5% of the London Assembly vote, not necessarily 5% of the vote for the mayor and all the other constituencies. It's 5% of the vote for the London Assembly. You see, and if we get that 5%, I will be sitting on the London Assembly to keep the mayor accountable for how he handles the governance of London.
Okay.
So it's a slightly different situation here.
So is there 3 votes? Are we voting for 3 things?
Yes, you are. You're essentially you're voting for the mayor.
Yeah.
Then you're voting for the London Assembly.
Yeah.
And then you're voting for local assembly members as well.
Is that the council then?
Well, it's sort of. What happens is each constituency, the constituencies are combined. For instance, in my constituency, we've got Lewisham and Greenwich. Lewisham and Greenwich have a combined constituency for 1 member to sit on the London Assembly.
Yeah.
So you get to vote for whichever, whoever the candidates are for that in your own constituency. You get combined constituencies.
Yeah.
Then you get the London Assembly. Then you get the mayoral election. So you're voting for 3 things here.
Oh.
3 things here. So a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, so elections are.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. A lot didn't know that. Yeah.
Once you get into these like political things, you kind of learn all these things. I had no idea either before, so you're not alone. So you are voting for 3 things here, but for where the CPA are located in this particular election are the London Assembly elections. If we get that 5%, we can have a member sitting in the London Assembly. It's very important because it gives Christians a voice. Then you get to see the inner workings of the London governance. Get close up.
Okay.
And get to see how the decisions are made.
Yeah.
So it's really a great opportunity, and I think we can. I think we can do it. I think Iraq alone could probably do it.
Really?
Well, it just depends on what the voter turnout is, doesn't it? Because remember, it's 5%.
Yeah. So I mean, realistically, what kind of numbers are you talking about when you say 5%?
Yeah, I really don't. I'll have to crunch the numbers.
Okay.
I'll have to look at. I'll have to look at past elections to see what the past numbers were. I know 1 year we almost did, before I was part of the CPA. I'll have to look at the numbers to give them a bit of a crunch. I can get back to you on that one. Yeah. But it does depend on the voter turnout, obviously, because it is a percentage.
Yeah.
So it does help you do have a male candidate there. It does help because in the booklet, I don't know if you've got your booklet already.
I haven't opened it, but yeah.
Yeah. In the
I'm
booklet,
being honest, it came. I'm waiting for the election day before I go off to the polling booth.
Hey, that's okay. Long as you go, that's the main point.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna go. I thought it was just, I've already, everybody knows on the show, I already said I was definitely gonna vote for NIMS because I'm in for change and I'm in for something different.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely,
and then I thought it was like the local councils, so I'm in Lambeth, so that's run by Labour, which, this is my show. My political views are my views, and I think they've not run Lambeth. See, here's my problem, Maureen, and this is why I think people really need to understand something. So in the last election, right, Boris Johnson won the election by a ridiculous amount because all the traditional Labour places decided that, we need to have a change.
Yeah.
So in that change, and this is just my thinking, right? In that change, what happens is, now, next election, they could go back to Labour, right? They could. But the Conservatives that are there will now try their darn best to make sure that they are on the ground, helping with local services, doing everything that they possibly can because they're fighting for their seat. And what happens in these places where you have, incumbents and people that have basically think that they've got tenure, is that they don't really push for anybody's services. They don't really. I mean, I don't even think they would even. I know they can't knock on doors now, but they only turn up if you haven't gone to the voting booth, and we notice that you haven't turned up to vote, and they know, well, you're traditionally a Labour voter because you're in Lambeth, so why have you not gone to vote? And that's the issue that I've got, that people just get blinkered, and this whole thing, this whole thing happens like it. So the whole idea of the change and putting somebody else new, I think, is really important. And then when you have a viable option, like yourselves, then, I think as believers, we need to kind of like wake up and say, well, actually, let's just this one time, let's just everybody get out and say, like, let's vote. Christian, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you. They get very complacent. It's like my local constituency has been a Labour held stronghold for such a long time, and they're just complacent.
Yeah,
they just take it for granted.
That's the word, complacent. Very complacent.
And they need to be shaken up. Basically, they need a shake up. And you're so right. I think the last general election, I think people were really paying attention because of Brexit.
Yeah.
And I think they did their research. They didn't really like their leader at the time. He wasn't very popular.
Yeah.
But not only that, but they were paying attention. And they, as you said, they wanted something different. I said they decided to, step away from their traditional values. I remember seeing an interview someone did. A couple were leaving the voting booth or the polling station, I should say. Yeah. And someone asked how they voted. They voted Conservative for the first time ever in their lives. Yeah. This is an older couple too. An older couple. They never voted Conservative ever in their life. This is the first time they ever voted Conservative. And I thought that really made a massive statement.
Yeah.
That they will do something they've never done before for the first time in their lives to vote Conservative.
Yeah.
And it reflected in the margin he won by.
Yeah. Just because of that idea of the change,
Exactly. And it's time for a change. It's time for new ideas. It's time for God to get back into politics. Amen. It's time for it to be done God's way. God's way is, and people think God's like, oh, you said, pie in the sky is not real. No, God's pretty real. Read the Bible. He's very real. The Bible's not full of all things nice and, there's some gritty things in the Bible. He deals with real life. And God deals with real life. Mm-hmm. God's quite able to run a country. It's not a problem for him. When he's ready to download the wisdom to those people he puts into power, you'll get some creative ideas. Real solutions, not just Band-Aids. Yeah. Real solutions.
Yeah. I know we're obviously Christian based, and we're it's a Christian channel and stuff like that. So what would you say to the other parts of London in particular that may be worried that as maybe a Muslim community, Hindu community, that if they did vote for you, how are they going to be represented in this in this shift if it were to happen the way that you want to see that 5% shift?
Absolutely. Well, as a London Assembly member, also we're not making the policy. We are there to keep the mayor accountable to what he does with our money. And one of the core beliefs of the CPA is good stewardship.
Okay.
So we want to see our money handled in a integral and in a frugal but sensible way. Like we don't want TFL wasting money, which they do. Waste a lot of money.
Was that TFL?
Okay? Yeah, TFL.
Yeah,
they waste a lot of money.
That,
a lot. They put the fares up every year, but they seem to waste a lot. So these are the things that other, non-Christian groups will benefit from, because we want integrity. We want to see our money spent wisely on things that, I know that TFL doesn't matter. We don't want to see them wasting our money. It has to be used wisely. And in this time of, where TFL has suffered, great losses because of the pandemic, they should have had a whole load of cash put away, right? For this time of lack. They may not have seen it coming, but if they weren't wasting money, right, they could have had money, you know, the rainy day money sort of thing.
Yeah, the war chest ready for, you know, this. Yeah.
For the unexpected.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they didn't, because they waste too much money. There's a lot of unnecessary advertising. Like, how many times have you been up and down estates with all, you know, stuff? We don't know who representing all that. But did they ask us if we wanted rainbow advertising on DFL?
No. They
I would have said,
yeah, they
said
kind
no
of
thanks.
do that. Yeah, they kind of do their own. They kind of do their own thing, to be honest. Yeah.
And they just decide they want to support certain groups. So where's all the crucifixes then? Where's all the Jesus stuff?
Yeah.
There's nothing like that, is there? No, exactly. So they're not representing all groups fairly, are they? But they're wasting the money. So these are how other non-Christian groups can benefit from us being on the London Assembly. You know, for instance, the National Health. The Mayor does have some input in how local councils deal with their NHS services. So again, we'll make sure that that is being run properly, and that local councils are their engagement with the centralised London Mail office. Their engagement with the local councils is sufficient, and there's enough input there. We can make sure their social services are being run properly.
Yeah.
And again, not wasting money. There's a lot of wastage in government. A lot of wastage.
I mean, I think about Crossrail is the one that kind of like jumps to my mind. I'm guessing they're going to get it done, but it's like how many billions over budget and
exactly when, if when, you know.
Well, they started now, so you can't really abandon it, can you? You've got you've got to see it over the line, and
you've got it. But why is it taking so long? Why is it over budget? Who's managing it? All these questions need to be asked. It is possible to deliver a project in time and on budget. It's possible. It has been done. Maybe not government, but the private sector seems to do it quite well. Because they've got stakeholders and investors to answer to.
Yeah. Government seems to be a little bit different, doesn't it?
Got us to answer to. We are the stakeholders, and we are the investors. But they don't see it that way. So these are just some of the ways that they can benefit.
Yeah. So in terms of one of the things that Pastor Nim spoke about quite passionately, you know, he's involved with the Peace Alliance for many years and knife crime and all those kinds of, you know, what's the Christian People's Alliance view in terms of, you know, how they can contribute from, you know, a somewhat marginal position, and we're speaking by faith to say that you get in, you know, into that seat. You know, what are the viewpoints of the CPA in terms of knife crime and just general street crime in and around London?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, obviously we want to see it reduced for sure. And we want to reverse what Sadiq Khan has done. He's removed a lot of police from the streets policing. He hasn't necessarily reduced the police force. He's redeployed them to other things, which is just as bad. So we want to put the police back on the streets where they belong, doing community policing and restoring that relationship between the police and the community, which is broken down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We also want to do things like, you know, restorative justice. It's not a thing that's really talked about very much, but getting non or ex-offenders rather into a place where they, even offenders, into a place where they have an acute awareness of how their crime has negatively affected their victims. Most of the time, you know, a person commits a crime, they don't really see the victim again. You know, they don't really see the impact that their act had on this person in their life. So we want to use that as a tool to cut down reoffending rates. It has been proved to do that, cut down reoffending rates and bring about what's called reconciliation. It's a very unique idea, but it does actually work. It's not something other parties explore, because it does involve a certain, for us as Christians, there's a spiritual aspect to it as well. So it's all about forgiveness and reconciliation. But well, the intended purpose of it is described as, from a secular standpoint, is restorative justice.
Okay.
And we also want to, again, restore what, this Mel City Khan had reduced, which is investing in our young people. That's going to do.
Yeah.
Apprenticeships, youth centres, working with, non-profit organisations, spiritual, Christian and non-Christian organisations, to provide services to get young people back on track with a destiny and a purpose. And even with ex-offenders, to provide them with, as a fresh start, as it were.
Yeah.
So they don't feel like all they have to do, all that's really left for them to do is go back to crime because there's no other option. What they need a fresh start. They need something to do other than crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we want to just put things in place so we can provide them with a fresh start. We've got ways to fund this. We've got something called a turnover tax, where we would actually, this is if we get to the point of government as well, not only just money, but with turnover tax, it's designed to tax large corporations such as Google, Facebook, the large Twitter, large corporations that they operate in this country, but they're based outside of the UK.
Yeah.
And what they do, they take revenue, but they don't pay corporation tax.
Yeah.
Because they move their profits outside the country, which is very unfair, highly unfair. I mean, they're getting lots of revenue from us, but they're not paying any taxes. So turnover tax is also offset corporation tax, bringing about like 30-something billion once it's all tied up. However, it will not affect companies that are based here. So what will happen is they will actually come to the conclusion, actually, it's better off to be based here and pay corporation tax rather than a turnover tax. So whichever way you dice it, they can pay one tax or the other. It's either corporation tax or turnover tax, but they will be paying tax. Right now, they don't pay it. So this is why we'll raise money for this. We're not going to raise taxes on, internal personal taxes like through, our revenue service.
Yeah.
We'll do it via taxing large corporations such as Google, Facebook, who have been avoiding tax for many, many years, and that needs to come to stop. So that's just some of the things we'll do.
Yeah, I think that's great to take some of that profit from that's going into individuals, regardless of how big they are, and actually taking that money for it to go back to really helping people who are kind of like really hard. I think I have a certain empathy towards the younger generation that find themselves in this crime loop. They get arrested, for whatever it could be. And I'm not condoning anybody doing anything wrong. You pay the price for what you've done. But then genuinely, there are some that genuinely come out, and because of they've got this already over their head, so they're not going to get a regular job. They have to declare wherever they go that this has happened to them, so that then stops them, which is right in all due respect. But unless you have schemes that are really set up to help these young people in particular get back on their feet, what happens is, the only other option, which is unpoliced, in quotes, is to go back to a life of crime, which is obviously policed, so.
Well, there's no alternative for them.
Yeah.
They have to live, they have to eat. Yeah. And plus it's the company they keep, they go back to their, friends, it's not always a gang, but most of the time it is. They go back to that environment, they're more than likely to reoffend, and that's just the reality of life. Yeah. So we have to provide something different for them, another environment, where they can have a fresh start and just go a different way. And as Christians, that's the gospel as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
what kind of thing? Sorry. No, I was going to say, what kind of things, when you're on the street speaking to people, especially in these areas of high crime, what kind of things are people saying to you?
Well, it's mostly they're concerned about their sons. It's mostly the sons. It's mostly the young sons. I heard of a horrific story the other day that this young boy, he almost got abducted.
I think I saw that on the news, right? One of the
he's on his way home from school, and he got literally chased by some guys in an unmarked car with, I think they had masks on or something. And thankfully he ran into a basketball court with some older guys, older teenagers were playing basketball for protection. I mean, it's an horrific story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was about 10, 11 years up. I mean, these are the concerns mothers and fathers are talking about. It's the young boys, not the girls so much. Okay, there's concerns for our children on a whole, but it's mainly the young boys. They're susceptible, they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And there's also the issues of, achievement in school. We've got the RSC education that has, landed in our primary schools and our secondary schools. It's horrendous.
What is that? Just to explain for people that don't know, like myself.
Relationship sex education.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it's not what it used to be when we went to school over our time. It's quite extreme. They're exposing primary school children, even nursery school children, things they should not be being exposed to.
Yes, I've heard of that, actually. There was this thing about this game that's been taken out that was like, the kids now need to, match up body parts with sexual activities. And it's a game that was in schools for,
Exactly.
This is not even like, this is young kids,
Exactly. It's totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Why would you need to do that unless you are purposely trying to corrupt the children? Exactly. Which is essentially the real reason. And we know who's behind it. We know what entities behind this. But that's the real reason. And it's a great concern to parents. Parents are not signed up for it. This is a government-led initiative. Parents are for it. Parents are protesting. There was a big protest in Birmingham. A lot of Muslim parents brought a massive protest against it because it's horrendous. And they're supposed to consult parents, but they're not. Schools are not doing the consultation in the way it should be done. They're not doing it thoroughly. Sometimes not even bothering. They're supposed to consult parents, and they're trying to take away parental authority. That's another thing that parents are very concerned about at Valentine. Parental authority being removed from them. It's like they don't have control over their children anymore. You're talking get an abortion, not even tell you about it. It's horrendous.
Well, there was this whole thing about the I think they've stopped it now, about the hormone blocking drugs being given to teenagers. And that went to the High Court because one of the former recipients decided to go and challenge it. And then it came out that they were using those children as guinea pigs for all kinds of trials by giving them these drugs. They had to shut down the program and say it wasn't ethical for them to keep doing it.
Puberty blockers. They have no idea what these things are really doing to these children. As you're quite right, they're just using them as guinea pigs. Thankfully, the people making the decision, the judges, were sensible people, but not always sensible people. That could have been a judge, very liberal, anything goes. But thankfully, in that case, in this country, common sense prevailed, and that had been shut down. But in other countries, it's not the case. Canada, for instance, has gone quite off the deep end.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
I had somebody on from Canada yesterday, actually. My guest was on from Winnipeg.
Really?
Cool. Yeah. He's studying. Well, he lives out there now, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, there's a father that got arrested recently because he wouldn't call his transgender child by the preferred pronoun. It's a girl who wanted to transition to a boy, and he refused to call her he. He's calling her his own daughter a she. And he got arrested. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can actually. I can. I can. And I think this year Yeah, this year has highlighted quite a few of those kind of things. Even over here, there's a lot of things about equality, and I ran a bit of a series about, you know, equality law for people to understand. 'Cause sometimes people don't stand up against these things because they don't really understand what the law is. So they think they just have to go along with it because, well, I'll be seen as being X, Y, and Z, so we just need to go along with it. But there are, you know, what equality law is. You know, it does enshrine certain things, you know, for you who may not agree with what it is. You know, I think in one of them, I think in Northern Ireland, it sounds like I know quite a bit. I run this news thing and it's really informative. It's the Christian Institute. You've probably heard of them. They run their newspapers, and it was interesting that they were saying that there was this. Actually, it was in Scotland that they were really doing this like hate speech kind of thing, and everybody was against what they're doing because they were saying that, you know, you just having a Bible in your house could be deemed as you having, you know, acting in a, you know, in a hateful way against somebody else. You know, and they were saying that, well, okay, yeah, we're going to let it go through, but then they said, well, we're going to let it go through, but there's not going to be a freedom of speech clause. So I'm understanding in all of these things that happen that even though the decision can be made, but there's also a freedom of speech bit which allows you as somebody who doesn't agree with it to have your freedom of speech. But they were trying to get this one round without a freedom of speech clause in it as well. So they thought maybe somebody wouldn't notice. But I mean, from this political thing, and you know, just to let people know, you know, Minister Maureen, you know, she's standing, and we're not here to kind of like make you feel like, oh, woe is me. But the reality is that you can watch your regular news and watch the narrative of what's happening on there and find out about Harry and Meghan and what's happening here and who's this and which reality star's done that. But the reality is there are a lot of things that are going on in the underbelly of this country that you're not aware of, and they happen in plain sight, but you're not aware because you're distracted. And I think the CPA, Pastor Nims are all trying to bring those things that are being hidden to light so that at least you can have an opinion. You may be okay with it. I don't know. If you're out there today, you may say, well, I'm all right with that. That's cool. But at least you should know. But how about when you're not aware? And again, as you were saying at the beginning of the show, you blindly vote in one party who is designed to, you know, rip children out from your children's bellies if they have the opportunity to. They push all kinds of, you know, anti-church agendas and stand very, very strongly on it. And, you know, I think what comes to mind was when Keir Starmer visited Jesus' house, and he had to apologize for going to a church.
Absolutely. Totally outrageous.
Who apologizes for going to church?
A Labour Party.
Well, this is it. And you know, just in case anybody's thinking we haven't said anything bad about the Conservatives or whatever, I'm not saying that. These are the people that I'm dealing with day in and day out. I have invited people from the other party even to come onto this show, and I was reliably informed they would never come on a black-led station ever. So don't even bother. So no, I'm gonna reach out because and you know, if they are out there, I did throw this clarion call out there because I was having Pastor Nims on, and I wanted to have the show on radio, Minister Maureen. That's the truth. And they said, well, you can't have him by himself. You've got to have him and at least somebody else. So I said, all right, then I'd reach out to Sean because Sean has a church background, and I wanted a Christian viewpoint. I know they're part of these big, but you know, he's supposed to have a church background. I thought that would be great to have him on. He's a man of color as well. Excellent. No response at all on the Instagram, but I see all the posts that go up about him going through the borough with whoever else it is. So there's a whole load of stuff that's going on here, and we just want people to walk circumspect and be aware that there are options on there. So the ballot is on the 6th of May, right?
Yeah, that's when the election is. So please be aware that you are voting in 3 categories, as we've already described.
Please.
And the only category the CPA are in is the London Assembly. So you can't miss this. It's all alphabetically listed. I think we're second from the top. So yeah, it's all alphabetically listed. You'll see our little logo there. So yes, please do vote for us. It'll be an amazing step forward, not just for the CPA, but also for RUAC and for Christians, for women, yay!
Amen. Yeah.
You know when you tick all the boxes,
Yeah. I know. I'm just messing around with you, you know. But
yeah, I know. I don't tick them out box though. Yes,
yeah.
All the other boxes.
That was good.
But please come out and support us. And even beyond the election, even if we don't get the 5% or whatever, please do support us. You know, have a think about joining us and being part of this great movement. Because I think one day we will be in government, definitely. It might not be tomorrow.
Yeah. But you have to start from somewhere.
It's a long-term
and I think this is the point. You could say, well, you could give up and say, well, we never get in. That's fine, but you've got to start from somewhere and begin to build your momentum. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to do that in this election. So, I already threw my hat in the ring and said I'll definitely vote for Pastor Nims. I guess the issue for me is who gets my second vote on that ballot paper, because you can vote your first preference and second preference, that's where I need to think really carefully in terms of that. Yours is just one vote, right? There's not a second preference.
There's only one choice for the London Assembly. You don't get to make two choices. The mayoral thing's quite unusual that you get to have a first and second choice. I think it's the only election way that happens. I don't know why that is.
Well, the last time, but when Pastor Nims was on, he said that Sadiq Khan got in because of the second preference vote. So they didn't get to the 50%. So they then look at the second preference vote for the other people who voted for somebody else as their first preference. So based on that, he got in.
That's
it wasn't. Yeah, I found it quite complicated, to be honest, because you've got to get to 50%, then you don't get to 50%. So, you can vote for your first person preference, I guess, for the mayoral thing. And for you, it's easy. We just vote CPA. We're good. We're in.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah, we're golden. But think about who it is that you need to vote for your second preference. And it's quite a difficult one, because if you do a protest vote and you do throw it away to somebody else, you could well be enabling, someone else to get in. But anyway, to God be the glory. We thank God for politics. We thank God for the Christian People's Alliance. We thank God for Madam President, who's been here this afternoon as well. That name's going to stick, Madam President.
That's right.
So are you? Is there a term that you're president for, or until you step down, or how does it work?
I think it's a 2-year term, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it's a 2-year term. It's an elected position. You don't just get appointed. It's an elected position.
Ah, okay. So you could get re-elected again within the party.
Yeah. So you run an election. The other president, they stepped down. So the election was opened, and I had no intention of doing it, Elder Valentine. Absolutely none.
God knows, right? God knows.
I said, oh no, that's not for me. No. Anyway, so people started saying stuff like, "Oh, if you run for president, we'll support you." I'm like, what? Okay. If you run for president, we'll support you. And several people said that to me. I'm like, okay, maybe I should do it. I don't know. And so I got a unanimous vote. So here I am.
Now is the time. So well done. Well done for taking up the. You could have said no, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, I am too. You know how God is. It's not with the reluctant people. They kind of pushes forward. People are too eager. God, he doesn't, because maybe they're too eager. Maybe the motivation is not quite right. So sometimes if you're a bit reticent, then he's kind of going to push you a bit. And so you sit with me.
Madam President, we are going to have to round it up there, but thank you so much indeed. It's been really great. Thank you for taking the time out as well. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for everyone listening. Please vote for us May 6th. Thank you.
Vote. There's a lot of people on, actually, and it gets rebroadcast again. The show will sit in YouTube, and I'll put it on Instagram. I know you're not in Instagram, but it will go in Instagram as well, so you should create a bit of traction. We're just doing our best to make people aware that they've got options. So
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Elder
Brilliant.
Valentine, for asking me on.
You are welcome. Listen, let me run. I've got to do the news. Actually, if you stay, even though you come off, but, you can stay and listen to the news. It's nothing but woe and doom and gloom. We're going to do the news. So thank you so much indeed. Madam President Maureen Martin, God bless you. Take good care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
God bless you. Take care. So that was the lady who is running for the CPA, the Christian People's Alliance. So I've been saying this, right? For me to get involved and say it's really important for you to get out, I know you may think that your vote doesn't count, but your vote does make a huge difference. That one little tick on the ballot box can make a huge difference to what's happening. Got to run and do the news now at the very, very top of the hour. We will be right back after these important messages.
In the news this week, the Home Secretary is seeking to review non-crime hate incidents. Westminster issues Stormont with an abortion ultimatum, and the CI remembers the courageous work of Christian peer Baroness O'Cahoyne. Hello. The Home Secretary has called for a review of how police record non-crime hate incidents. College of Policing rules currently say records must be kept of those accused of hate incidents, even if no crimes actually occurred. No investigation is required, but the accusations can show up when applying for some jobs. A Home Office source told the Sunday Telegraph these so-called non-crime hate incidents have a chilling effect on free speech and potentially stop people expressing views legally and legitimately. If people are found to have done nothing wrong, the police shouldn't punish them. MPs and peers have backed legislation giving the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland power to commission abortion services across the province. Minister for Northern Ireland Robin Walker said the government stands ready if we do not see significant progress before the summer recess to issue the direction empowered by these regulations. A number of MPs and peers opposed the move. Carla Lockhart told colleagues, "As I left for London this morning, I left my little 2-year-old boy Charlie and walked away from him with a broken heart, thinking of the millions of babies whose lives have already been ended and those that will potentially, under the regulations, be ended in Northern Ireland." Members of the Lords also spoke powerfully of their concern for the unborn.
From the moment of conception, life begins with unique DNA which no other human soul in the world has.
I am a severely disabled parliamentarian who believes I have as much right to exist as anyone else. These regulations may not apply to me directly, but they still threaten me because they challenge that right by devaluing my existence.
We're being asked to give our consent to the killing of the unborn child. Many abortionists claim that abortion is the premature expulsion of the human fetus, but in reality it is the ending of a human life.
A Christian MP is backing a new all-party parliamentary group to oppose assisted suicide in the UK. Danny Kruger, while launching the Dying Well group with 25 other MPs and peers, called the push to remove vulnerable people's protections against assisted suicide dystopic. He expressed concern at people being pressured to end their lives. If you may terminate your life because it is not worth living, surely you ought to do so. And if you ought to do so, surely others should encourage you to do the right thing. And if you won't, surely the state should compel you to do so. Kruger stressed that the best method of managing end-of-life care was to invest in palliative care, so that no one should have to take the awful choice of whether and when to kill themselves. And finally, Christian Institute patron Baroness O'Cahoyne has died after a short illness aged 83. Lady O'Cahoyne, who insisted on being called Debtor, was an economist and businesswoman entering the House of Lords in 1991. She held numerous high-profile business positions during a long and prestigious career, including managing director of both the Milk Marketing Board and the Barbican Centre. Asked why Christians should get involved in politics, she said it was a good way to find out what really is necessary to love my neighbour and to do something about it. In 2010, she spoke to the Institute about her concerns for religious liberty and the need for Christians to take action.
The reality is that a lot of freedoms are being undermined, and there is a sustained anti-Christian movement attacking those of us who actually believe in freedom of speech and freedom of thought and freedom of expression of one's Christian values. Christians can't lock themselves away in little cells. They've got to be aware of what goes on. Some of it's not very nice, but to have a body like the Christian Institute supporting you is actually very good.
Institute Director Colin Hart said she would be sorely missed. Debtor will be remembered for her extraordinary political courage and formidable intellect, but above all for her unwavering Christian faith. Her principled support for vital causes in this nation made her one of the most influential Christians in Parliament of recent decades. Personally, I will miss her a great deal. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.
The world has changed. People are no longer meeting and congregating as they normally would. We at Soul Food Gospel are acutely aware of the demand for well-managed online virtual events. We are launching a new division called Soul Food Gospel Events. This is a dedicated company with the sole purpose of managing your virtual events. We are taking our learning and technologies from the Soul Food Gospel shows, coupled with the maturity of our platforms, and for the first time ever allowing you, the public, the opportunity to host your events via our established and robust media outlets. If you have an event of any kind that you want professionally managed and hosted, please reach out to us on +44 07960 219 366 or email us at soulfoodoffice@gmail.com. So, whether you're arranging a concert, book launch, live interviews, conferences, funerals, christenings, baby dedications, weddings, whatever your event is, if it needs to be streamed, we should be your number one choice.
Hi everybody, my name is Nims and I love London. This is an amazing city. It's a city we can all be proud to call our home. And I believe it's a city we must work together to preserve and protect. Over the last 30 years, we've worked together with faith organizations, community organizations, government agencies to ensure that we have peace on our streets. And I want to see that we do everything we can and we step up for London to ensure we have a safe city. In order to do that, I am standing as an independent mayoral candidate. Be part of something different. Let's not hand the future to just politicians. Let's hand the future to the people of London.
The
Soul Food Show, Record of the Week.
Soul Food Daily Double. Soul Food Daily Double. It's the Soul Food Daily Double.
We live for you, Lord. You are good, you are good. No matter what it looks like, I worship you. No matter what it feels like, I
Soul Food Daily Double. Soul Food Daily Double. It's the Soul Food Daily Double.
I'm done trying to do this life in my own strength. I'm done trying to carry the burdens meant for you to hold. I'm done trying to figure it out all on my own. I am done trying to walk this path in my own understanding. I will let you carry me. I will let you carry me. No more striving, no more battling alone. I will let you carry me. I will let you carry me. I will let you hold me still. I will let you hold me still. No more striving, no more battling alone. I will let you hold me still. I will let you hold me still. I will let you carry me. I will let you carry me. No more striving, no more battling alone. I will let you carry me. I will let you carry me.
Gospel. This is your boy Giovanni, and I'm hanging out with DJ Val on the Soul Food Gospel. Don't touch that dial.
Hi, this is singer-songwriter Bisola, and you're listening to DJ Val on Soul.
Got to do that.
All they got to do is get up
and get their praise on.
Right here.
I should behave myself and not be silly, especially as I've had our I was going to say National Assembly member. I thought I was in Nigeria. Our local government assembly, London Assembly member, that's the word I was thinking of. Madam President Maureen Martin was on the stream. Very insightful, you see. I'm so glad that she came on, and I really hope you know, sometimes we just need to wake up and realize what we're doing and why we just keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. I think Einstein said that's a definition of madness, right? So thank you so much indeed to Maureen, and do remember to go out and vote on the 6th of May. Don't shy away from it. Go and vote, and as I said, give a lot of vote when you have a second option to vote. Yeah, when you have a second option to vote, do make sure that you are fully aware of what your options are in terms of that second vote, all right? We do need to reach out to reach the point in the show. Remember, this show finishes in about 13 minutes, right? Because we have the original, and as some call it by far the very best soul food show out there. That will be at 7 p.m. UK time. But I do want to reach out to anybody who doesn't know Jesus as their Lord and Savior. It's the prerequisite, right? You know, you could vote for whoever you want to vote for, you know, and they could do whatever they want to do. But, you know, in order for you to make heaven, there is only one ballot that you need to be part of, and that's the ballot to choose Christ, right? And once you've done that, that will ensure, well, one, that you make heaven, and two, we're going to give you some great resources at my home church, which is Rack City Church, that will allow you to understand how you can also be victorious on the earth as well. So if you are out there and you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, as I sometimes joke, I say you woke up this morning and nobody offered Christ to you. You know, you went out to your place of work, or maybe you went to get a coffee, newspaper, took the kids to school. You've interacted with people, whether it be online or personally, and nobody said, would you like to make heaven and accept Christ? Well, guess what? On this show, we're going to fix that, right? And, you know, if you just repeat this prayer after me, which is, some call it the sinner's prayer, some call it the prayer of salvation. The name of the prayer isn't important, but what is important is that you believe that what you're saying is true. And, you know, sometimes we think believing is with your mind, but, you know, you can believe with your heart. And the reason why I say that is because, again, there's some things that I may well tell you, that Jesus died and rose again to remove all of your sins. You're going to DJ, I can't believe that. You know, I can't comprehend it. And it's good because, you know, your natural mind can't do that. But there's a part of you inside you, which is your spirit, that's been, you know, which has been asleep, and we want to wake it up. And I believe that there is something called the measure of faith, right? A little bit of faith that you have is enough for you to believe that to be true, but it's not a head belief, it's a heart belief. Amen. So if you are out there, just repeat after me. Thank you, Jesus, for loving me. Thank you, Lord, for dying on a cross for me. I believe that you are the Son of God, and that you died and rose again to remove all of my sin, past, present, and future. I was a sinner, but now I want to be born again. Lord, send your Holy Spirit into my heart to help me to stop sinning. I have believed in my heart. I've confessed out of my mouth. And upon that confession on this day, I am now saved in Jesus' name. Say amen if you believe that. Welcome to the family of God. So as you can see the information running across the screen, please go over to www.rackcitychurch.org/new believer, which is you. Register your interest on the little form that's there, and a member of the Rack City Church Discipleship Care Team is going to reach out to you and invite you to come to these wonderful classes where you can now learn how to become victorious on the earth as well, through unlocking things that you previously didn't know were in the Bible. Amen. So you'll be able to ask all kinds of questions. You know, what's the deal with communion? Why do I have to get baptized? Why do you have to speak in tongues? All of that stuff, plus much more, is all in those classes, 7 p.m. every Thursday. They're done remotely via Zoom, so you don't have to physically be in the building, but you could be absolutely anywhere in the world. And I always say, use this as a great anchor for you. Use our e-church as a great anchor until you can find a local church. And again, if you reach out to anybody at the Rack City Church office and say, you know what, maybe I'm in, I don't know, I'm in Gibraltar. Is there a good Bible-believing church in Gibraltar that I can attend? And I'm sure if my bishop will probably know somebody who knows somebody, or our church knows somebody who knows a ministry that's out there that you'll be able to physically be able to attend. Because there's nothing like I know being able to, you know, even in these times of social distancing, for you to be able to physically attend a church when things open up. But in the meantime, use our e-church resource. It's there to help you out. And I would love to know that you've made that decision and you've made that choice. I'm an elder at Rack City Church. I have a responsibility to make sure that you're okay in your faith, right? And okay in your faith walk. So you know what, if you need somebody to pray with, somebody to agree with, or you just want to say, DJ Val, I made a choice to choose Christ, I'd love to know. Hit me on my private number, 07960 219 366. We call that the so secret WhatsApp number because you're not supposed to give it to anybody. Alternatively, you can email me at soulfoodoffice@gmail.com, and I can pick up all the emails there. But thank you so much, and again, welcome to the family of God.
With us be present.
Oh, this track again, eh?
Now public square, feel all you need with your integrity. Transform.
As much as I like it, but I want to play this one because we're coming to the end of the show.
It's your world famous DJ Ernestine, and honestly,
Sounds of the boy called Testimony Jagger. Jam on it.
It's the street gospel movement. You know how we do. Let's go. Hey.
Jam it, Mr. DJ play it. Let my people rock it. Let them know Jesus run the town. Jam it, Mr. DJ play it. Let my people rock it.
Let them know Jesus run.
I want to thank everybody that was able to, I really don't know what goes on with that stream in the afternoon. It looks like it's kind of like normalized and it's a little bit stable now. It's very, very strange what happened, why it was kicking all of you guys off. But I don't know, there's something about when the word of God is being shared. You know, that principalities in the air don't really like it, and all kinds of odd things happen. Believe you me, I've had guests on this show, we never had that issue, but we had somebody really powerful yesterday. Emmanuel Briggs, shouts going out there to you, my brother. And I'm telling you, there was just truth being released. And of course, Minister Maureen is taking us to a point of accountability as believers, right? Or I should say, Madam President Maureen is taking us to a point of accountability where we're saying we just can't sit back on our laurels and expect things to get better. We need to be part of this change that's trying to spread across this nation, right?
Let my people rock it. Let them know Jesus run it down. No sleeping, no go cock, no darling. Tonight, no darling. Mr. Jagga, they put the beat.
Very good afternoon, going out to my friend Grecinta. How you doing, my sister? Just going to Imara Joyce and all those people out there from the Fogmon Society up there in Abuja.
And you dance this dance, you know go die, you plenty money, you go get you. You hear this song, and you dance this dance, you know go die, you plenty money, you go get you. Can we do some exercise right now?
So remember, we go for the original show, 7 o'clock UK, 7 o'clock Nigeria time. That is live. All the shows are done live on Soul Food Gospel.
Turn around.
So look out for that one a little bit later on tonight. You get a 30-minute break, or I get a little bit of a break. Actually, I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna do one more track, and then I'm gonna finish up, and I need to get ready for the next show, right? It's been absolutely amazing. I have thoroughly enjoyed everybody that's come on today. There's been some new faces, some new people, some great comments. Shouts going out there to my dear friend Joycelyn Bruno.
Mr. DJ blow it. Let my people rock it, rock it.
Miss Weeks, your presence was appreciated. Hope you take the opportunity to subscribe, right? You gotta remember, you gotta subscribe.
That's no darling. Mr. Jagga.
Hit the notification bell as well. That way, you never miss anything that we're doing on Soul Food Gospel. And we've got some great stuff coming up as well. Gonna sign out with this Yetunde Olomolaye, Way Out of No Way. And I better say this, if you do need to stay at home, stay at home. If you do need to go out, be safe. But most importantly, don't lose your faith in Christ Jesus. God bless you. See you in 30.